We're all getting older. From the day we were born, we started aging. So why do we spend so much time on anti-aging? Because we can't stop that. You and I are both getting older by the second. Whether you are 4 or 14 or 44 or 104, you're getting older. So the big question is, if we're all going to get old and we're all going to die, because that's the ultimate outcome, isn't it? The life that we live is a terminal illness, we're all going to die. Rowie, not very positive. But however long you have, what are you going to do with that time? And whatever it is that you want to do, how are you going to do it if you're not healthy and you're not fit and you're not strong? And here's a really interesting thing, and I don't like this expression, "I told you so." But I have been banging on for a very, very long time about the importance of having strong muscles and bones, healthy heart and lungs, a strong immune system, a body that is healthy, fit and strong, so that you can do all the things that you want to do, so that regardless of how old you are energetic, enthusiastic about life and excited about life. And there was two parts to that, and I share this on a regular basis. My father died of Alzheimer's, which is a brain rotting disease, and I could never understand that, because to me, brain cells should be like any other cell in your body, they just regenerate. I was told that's not true, and of course, and I'll just give you an interesting side note on that. The original guy that said that, he studied the brain through a microscope, and he drew pictures of the cells, and he just said, it doesn't matter which brain you look at, there's a certain amount of neurogenesis, new brain cell growth, up until we're an adult, and then we stop. We don't grow anymore. But he was only drawing pictures. He wasn't taking photographs. He wasn't doing CAT scans. He wasn't studying the brain. He was just drawing pictures. Then we discovered this thing called a CAT scan. We can look at the brain, and we found that, yes, you can regrow your brain cells. You can have not just neuroplasticity, which is change the way you think and change the way your brain works, but you can grow new brain cells. I think that's really exciting, because it means that you can stay young for as long as you want to. And that's the thing that I've been banging on about, because before I even knew that you could grow new brain cells, to me it just made common sense. And I, to this day, absolutely passionately believe that my father didn't need to die as early as he did from brain rotting disease, because we didn't give him the things that keep your brain alive. He wasn't exercising at high intensity. He wasn't fighting and flighting. Obviously, adrenaline rush keeps you alive. He wasn't doing puzzles. He wasn't learning new songs. He wasn't learning new dance steps. He wasn't learning new martial arts steps. There's all these things that keep your brain alive that my father wasn't doing. So that's why he died of a rotting brain. The second very personal thing for me is my mother was diagnosed with dead. Literally at 74. You've got advanced osteoporosis, coronary heart disease, type 2 diabetes. She had horrible asthma, rheumatoid arthritis. Her life was miserable. And, you know, even if you're not dead, that kind of quality of life for me is just, you may as well be dead. And I share that passionately and openly. What kind of life? And most people think that the last 20 years of your life, that's how you have to live it. You have to be sick, you have to be fat, you have to be diseased. I had a doctor just recently from a hospital in New Zealand, and he shared with me, "Oh, Rowie, everybody gets coronary heart disease and type 2 diabetes, and we're all going to be sick before we die." That is a very negative attitude, and that's why I always share, whenever a doctor tells you something, please go and get a second opinion. Because as I often share, I've met so many people who are 80, 90 and over 100 years of age that are still playing their sport, they're still making love to their partner, they're still riding horses, they're still farming, they're still loving their life, even though they are considered what some people call old. So regardless of how old you are, and there's a lot of great songs about that, but if you didn't know how old you are, how old would you be? If you didn't know the day you were born, what your birthday is, how old do you feel? And I've met too many people who are only 30 or 40, and they tell me how old they are. I've only just recently chatted to a lady who's only 40, and she said, "Oh, Rowie, I'm so old." Just as a quick side note to that, if you are whatever age you are, and you chat to somebody that's older than you, and you say that you're old, imagine how you're making them feel. That's just a communication tip that I think is really important. But here's the great thing. If you stay strong and if you stay fit and if you keep your brain alive, obviously your brain controls everything, you can be healthy, fit, strong, alive, energetic, enthusiastic about life for as long as you're alive. Now, barring accident, we now have people who live well over 100, and a lot of them at great quality of life. I don't think that living in a retirement village, rattling with all the pills that you take and sitting in a chair or having to have a walking frame or a wheelchair because your body's rotted away, to me that's not living either. I want to be doing everything I'm doing now. This is my personal goal. Every single day of my life, I laugh, learn, huff, puff and lift. I love to be in the garden. I love to go hiking. I love great food. I love playing with my puppy dogs, running with my puppy dogs, running up hills with my puppy dogs. And my goal is that whatever day I die, I do all of that in that day, and then I go to bed at night and peacefully go to sleep. Now, I'd like that to be over 100. And by the time I get to 100, I reckon we'll be living to 140, 150, if you choose to. So what have you got to do? You've got to get puffed to get fit. You've got to overload your muscles and bones to get strong. And now, finally, the medical professionals, the orthopaedic surgeons, the anti-aging, and I hate using that expression now, anti-aging, because we're all going to get old, as I shared. Let's enjoy the aging process. We're all getting chronologically older. Let's get older and better and wiser and fitter and stronger. And of course, you've got to do something to get fit, and you've got to do something to stay strong or get strong. The only way to get fit is to get puffed. This business of going for a walk or doing low intensity activity, it just doesn't work because you're not overloading your body. You've got to pump adrenaline, you've got to pump epinephrine, same thing. You've got to pump cortisol. The things that causes your body to fight and flight are also the things that keep you young. Because after you've fought the threat, after you've overcome the threat, after you've sprinted away from the threat, and obviously we don't do that very much anymore now, but you can create that every day by lifting heavy, punching a bag, skipping rope. There's a really cool thing about keeping your body young. You've got to do things fast, because if you lose your fast twitch muscle fibers, they're the ones that stop you from falling. They're the ones that allow you to jump high, to kick far, to sprint. And if you stop using them, they just rot away. They don't have to rot away. The only way to keep them alive, keep them strong, and keep them capable of doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is hard and fast activity, is to do hard and fast activity. So get puffed by punching a bag, skipping, soft sand, running up hills, cross-trainer, treadmill, doesn't matter as long as you're getting puffed, and short bursts of activity, because the longer you exercise, the less hard you exercise. You can exercise long or hard, but not both. So 10-second intense bursts of activity in the phosphate system to keep your fast twitch muscle fibers working and alive and strong and getting fitter and stronger. And then, of course, you've got to get those muscles strong, you have to overload them. This lightweight, and I heard a great expression just recently, put away the namby-pamby pink weights. And I'm talking specifically to women, because obviously there's not very many men that use namby-pamby pink weights. But if you don't lift something heavy, your muscles don't get overloaded. And the really important thing, and this is not even new, it's been around a very long time, it just seems we don't focus on it. When you lift something heavy or when you overload your heart and lungs, your hormonal system sends a message back to your brain to say we have to be better for next time. It just makes sense, doesn't it? If I have to run away from a threat, if I've got a wild animal chasing me, if I've got a wild tribe chasing me, if that happens again, I have to be better for next time, because what if the animal's bigger or the tribe's more ferocious? So the hormonal system sends a message to my... If I'm using my legs, for example, my hormonal system sends a message to all the other muscles around the muscles that I'm using to say next time we've got to be stronger. It sends a message to my bones, we've got to be stronger. It sends a message back to my brain to say next time we've got to be better at this. Now that doesn't happen by doing light weights, it doesn't happen by going for a walk. It's nice to go for a walk. Light weights are obviously a waste of time because you're not overloading your muscles. And I always have a giggle, and it's not even funny, but if I don't laugh I'll cry. So many women that go to the gym will pick up a weight that is lighter than their handbag that they brought to the gym with them, or lighter than their gym bag, and then wonder why their body's not changing. You've got to overload your muscles and bones. You've got to overload your heart and lungs. That gets you fit and strong. When you're fit and strong, all of those messages go back to the brain to create neurogenesis. Brain-derived neurotropic factor is fertilizer for your brain. Your brain gets tougher and stronger, your body gets tougher and stronger, and you can live long. Now, even if you don't live long, I don't know. I shared just recently, I've had a couple of experiences just recently where I could have died. I just by seconds I missed hitting a car head on just recently where someone was overtaking in a blind corner. And I've had a couple of big falls on my farm where I've crashed down the hill, and as I've tumbled I've thought, wow, is this the last time I'll be doing this? whatever amount of time you've got to live, wouldn't it be great to wake up every day with energy, enthusiasm and excitement for life as a healthy, fit, strong human being who can go and do all the things that you want to do, whether you are 4 or 14 or 44 or 104. How about live your life to the max? Super duper doo, how are you? Living my life to the max. Woohoo!